My name is Marissa Goldenmann, and I'm a very active member of the Estate Society, both on 3 levels. I've been active at the national, state, and chapter level. I just completed my 2nd term as the chapter regent for the local Bremerton chapter. But I also portray Betsy Ross, and that's a persona that I'm diving into a little bit more thanks to my costume background. And we'll talk a little bit more about that, I'm sure, shortly. So.
Yes, I'd like to explore both threads of that.
Okay.
First, how did you get involved with the Daughters of the American Revolution?
So, like many of our members of DAR, it's a multi-generational organization. And so my mother basically on my 18th birthday said, we're going to go, you need to sign this application. We're going to go to the bank, get notarized, and we're going to submit your application to the local chapter. So I'm actually a 3rd generation DAR, and I'm lucky, but not all women are so fortuitous in that sense, and they have to explore their genealogy on their own. And we have a very large resource and database and have a specialty library just for that. So we are known for our colonial genealogy library. So the SAR often send their questions to us as well.
Okay. Now let's explore the Betsy Ross thread.
Sure.
Because I'm only a mild reenactor of my great-great-grandfather, so I have the whole private Civil War uniform that I used to teach my kids with. How did you get involved in reenacting, and why specifically Betsy Ross?
So actually, I was a costume major personally in my life, and I was asked to bring my fashion display, which is colonial history, colonial fashion. So I have a quite large colonial fashion display, and that was part of what they brought me in initially to portray here as part of the general subject matter of the reenactment. Now, then when we were kind of exploring options for personalities, we came on Betsy Ross, which is a well-known figure, and sometimes there's a little bit of mixed story as to, is Betsy, we all know her as a seamstress. She's not a fashion person. She actually handled furniture and the soft goods, so mattresses, pillows, curtains. And so they approached her because they knew she had a bunch of fabric already, and she was one of many flag makers, but they knew that she had the fibers already on hand and the fabrics, and she could act as a little bit of a front to create some of those flags for our needed personalities out serving in the military.
Are there any myths of Betsy Ross that you work to undo, or aspects of Betsy Ross's life that go unknown except for what you do?
We all know her as Betsy Ross. She actually was married 3 times. Her first 2 husbands were both prisoners of war, so she actually died as Elizabeth Claypool. And one of the myths is that she is the one that created the flag. We don't know that for sure. That was one of those myths that kind of the family started in the 19th century. And she may have been, we can say that, yes, she did create some furnishings for the period and some flags, but she was not the sole initial manufacturer of those. Okay. Now, one other thing is that one of the other stories that many like to hear about is that at the time the stars were typically a 6-pointed star, and Betsy said, "You need flags fast," and so we can't make equal-sized 6-pointed stars quickly, but I can do a quick few folds of fabric here, and I can cut it with a single cut, and I can come up with uniform sizes of stars to apply to that flag. So that is one of the stories. Whether that's actually 100% true, a little tough to tell. This is the flag here is one of those kind of many stories, and the star, the cutting of the star is one of those topics.
So tell me about your exhibit.
So we are kind of portraying, again, fashion history. So I've got women's wear, I have militaria, I've got kind of men's tucked here in the corner behind me. We'll have some cooking, and we have it's out of line of sight, but we have a small children's display for a campfire because kids are having a great time here. We actually house in the DAR headquarters the Children of the American Revolution headquarters as well. So we feel it's very important to kind of get that next generation's involvement. They are the oldest youth leadership organization in the country. So a little bit of a children's exhibit, but some militaria, and then quite a decent genealogy size. We are trying to really encourage more development of underrepresented minority groups that helped supply and aid the cause of independence. So we've got, again, it's part of our library, but we are trying to create more opportunities for more members as well.
So remind me, why did you choose Betsy Ross?
Sorry. So actually, again, I had the seamstress skills already. So that was one of those easy ways to kind of tie in fashion. She was not doing fashion. We just think of seamstress and automatically think dressmaking. But again, she was doing furniture and soft furnishings. So it was an easy way to kind of tie over my sewing skills in that sense. And then learn a little bit more about the start of the nation and women's role in that.
Are there any character traits of Betsy Ross that you try to communicate?
Oh, that's tough. I'm still learning. As most people will tell you who are reenactors, the persona is an ongoing development. So I'm still kind of fresh to the whole Betsy Ross era of things. But again, portraying the role that women played in the organization. There were mothers, there were daughters, there were aunts and nieces, and all of the grandmothers even. So whether they were making flags or knitting socks, making blankets, a lot of that support did go off to the troops or even as camp followers. There were many wives that followed along and were cooking. So we're here to really portray DAR and, as Betsy, kind of the support that women played in the overall cause of independence. So,
are there any final comments you'd like to make?
Wow. I thank you for dropping by and visiting, and we are one of the key players. We actually have a past National Society president who is part of the Whole America 250 Planning Commission. So DAR is very heavily involved in that kind of launch and lead up to America 250. So we're very proud of that.
Well, Marissa, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.